Welcome to the farmhouse on a beautiful spring day. I'm going to have a lot of fun preparing things in the kitchen. Come along and join me. Do you ever have those moments where you're learning something new for the first time and it's so exciting and you can't get enough of it? Well, that's exactly how I'm feeling these days as I'm learning a new hobby. It's just so great that the weather is so beautiful and I can hang my laundry outside to give it fresh air. And I really love especially hanging my sheets because it just adds such a fresh scent. And then when I go to bed at night, it just smells so wonderful. It's a Saturday and I wait all week for the weekend because we're working so hard on our farm from Monday to Friday. And so Saturdays are just so special and I just couldn't wait to get started with the day. And I decided to get a little bit of gardening done as well. One of the things that I love about being a homemaker is being the master of your own domain. And I just have so much fun in the kitchen and in the house, decorating, moving things around, preparing food, and just doing all of the things. And I don't get to do a lot of that during the week because we're outside a lot. And so I just really like to spruce things up and freshen things up and putting a nice tablecloth on, adding some color, and cleaning up the kitchen. These are all things I love to do on the weekends. So back to finding new hobbies. One of the things that I am beginning to do and get really excited about is cheese making. It's kind of funny because things just kind of snowball. I started out with making yogurt, and then from there I just started wondering, what else can I make? And I just started looking into it, and as the algorithm works, it feeds you more and more information on what you're looking for. And so I've been watching so many videos on YouTube about cheese making, and I've ordered some books from the local library, and I'm just researching and I'm just having so much fun. And I'm realizing how much of a precious resource milk is. It's so inexpensive, and yet you can make so many things out of milk. It's actually so incredible. And this will eliminate me having to buy so many different items because there are so many things I can make right in my kitchen with milk and cream. I can make my own buttermilk. I can make my own sour cream, creme fraiche, cream cheese, and the list goes on and on. There are just so many things, and I've already gotten started with several of these items, and it's so easy. A lot of it is. There are some harder cheeses, obviously, but I'm starting off with the easy things, and I couldn't be more excited. Now, as I'm getting started with a batch of cheese, I'm also cooking up some sourdough bread. I've had this in my fridge, just kind of percolating for a little while, so it's got to get baked. One of the things that happened that was hilarious was that my oldest daughter, who lives pretty far away, she lives in Victoria, we were on a phone conversation And it was so funny that I was telling her about the cheese making and how excited I was. And sure enough, she had been also looking into cheese making at the exact same time. And it's just so funny how, you can be so far away from someone, but it's almost like you have this telepathic connection and we're thinking the same things. So, as I'm doing my cheese journey, she's also on the same journey as well. And so we have a lot to talk about. It's so much fun. And she just made cream cheese. So, we're on the journey together and it's something that we can talk about and connect with. And I absolutely love that. It's getting to be that busy time of year, and I'm kind of switching gears, and I have to really think about what are my priorities. And when you're taking care of a household and other people, food is always at the top of that priority list. And so I love that I can have a hobby that also takes care of feeding people. And so that is just incredible to me. Recently, my husband and I went on a trip together. It was kind of a solo date, and we went a couple of towns over to a place called Revelstoke. It's kind of a skiing town, and it's up in the mountains. It's very sporty, and people are riding around in bikes everywhere. It's a lot of fun. So we went there, and we went to this French bistro, and my husband is from Quebec. He's French. And we were looking at the menu, and there were so many traditional French things on the menu, including crepes and poutine and all kinds of things. And so we ordered some things and had fun, but it got me thinking. I didn't realize how much my husband missed that traditional food. And so what I'm making today is cheese curds, which takes all day, and I'm making cheese curds to go with poutine. So I'm cutting up some fries here, and I'm going to be soaking these in cold water. I've been looking it up online, looking how to make a traditional poutine because my husband has tried every kind under the sun, but nothing compares to the Quebec style. So I'm trying to replicate that at home. And the cheese curds is a really important part of that. And that's just something that's really hard to find on this side of Canada. You can find them, but it's just not the same. They need to be fresh. So my idea was to try to make them at home and kind of give him a taste of Quebec. So that's what I'm doing today. And I've also been making crepes, and that's another thing that he grew up eating, and it's in all the restaurants over there. And I didn't realize how much he missed that kind of food. Making the cheese curds was an all day process, and my daughter kept wanting me to take her out into town, but I had to tell her it's going to be another couple of hours because this is something that you kind of have to hover over and watch. And it's a really intense process and more of not a beginner project, but I really wanted to push myself to do it. It was kind of a dream that I wanted to do this for my husband. And it actually did work out. It was a lot of work, but I succeeded, you guys, and it made me so, so happy. The bread that I'm baking today has been in the fridge for several days. And you can do that with sourdough, but I think it might have been in there a little bit too long and it kind of deflated when I cut into it. and it turned out okay. But I had made 2 loaves previously when the dough was fresh, and they turned out awesome. And I actually made it using the whey from my yogurt. And you can do that. You can use the whey from yogurt or cheese making for other things, including making bread. So I just love that you get all of these byproducts. And another thing you can do with whey after you make cheese is homemade ricotta. And if you've ever made ricotta, there are a couple of ways that you can do it, but the traditional way is actually to use the whey left over from cheese making. So I love that there are just so many uses for milk. Now I'm making myself a little bit of a yogurt snack. I'm getting low on yogurt and I need to make more soon. But one of the things that I love is just putting it with some maple syrup and sometimes a few nuts. And that's one of my favorite go-to ways that's really simple to flavor the yogurt. And I love the taste of maple syrup, as does my husband, because if you know anything about Quebec, that's pretty much where maple syrup comes from. So he loves having it in the house. Now, I just finished adding some rennet to my milk, and this is part of cheese making. And now that has to sit for 45 minutes, and I'm referring to my book here because it's letting me know what I need to do. And so I figured that while it's sitting and doing its thing, I'm going to head outside and get a little bit more gardening done because I'm really kind of behind on my gardening. And where I'm working right now, this is my flower garden, and this is for cut flowers. And I also have some herbs in here. And I absolutely love that I have a cut flower garden. And what I did last year, because this is a new garden that I created, I let everything self seed. And the idea is that I won't have to seed any trays. Everything will just come up, and then I can just kind of clear out the unwanted seedlings. And that way I won't have to do any work other than just weeding. So that's kind of my goal in this garden because, you know, once you invest in the seeds, you don't really want to have to keep buying new seeds. And so I like saving some of my own seed, but if you can just let them kind of seed in place, that kind of makes things a lot easier for you because you don't have to start anything. So that's what I'm doing here today. One of the things that's allowing me to get so much work done today is that I have started doing online shopping orders for my groceries, and I am absolutely loving it. I usually do a big grocery shopping at Walmart, and then I like to go to our local independent grocery stores to get certain items, such as my milk, because my milk actually comes from a local dairy, but it's sold at the independent grocer. So my big order comes from Walmart, and I'm out here gardening while the delivery guy is about to show up. And it's honestly really inexpensive to get it delivered, and it saves me such a headache because, when you get to the store over here, anyways, we have to have a loonie on us for the cart. You've got to remember your shopping bags. The store is always so packed and so full. And, it's just such a hassle. And then there's always so many temptations as well because, they've got displays of all the candies and all the treats. And so, ordering online, you just get exactly what you need. And if you tend to get the same items over and over again, it kind of saves that too. And the other thing I really like is that I reuse these paper bags because when we give our microgreen orders every week, I usually put some of the orders into paper bags. because a lot of our bins have gotten stolen. And so paper bags is just the way to go for me. And so now I am also getting bags that I can reuse. And I also got this little thank you gift for doing this online order. So I thought that was pretty sweet. And honestly, I'm really impressed. And it just saves me such a headache so that I can continue on with my day and focus on other things that I want to do with my time. I really don't enjoy spending my time out in town all day on the weekend because I feel like it's precious time that I have to get certain things done at home. And grocery shopping just adds another element of stress. And I always feel like it's taking up so much of my time. So I really, really appreciate that I can do these online orders and get that done without having to leave my house. I absolutely love it. I've put most of my groceries away and I try to stick to the basics. I try to stick to the vegetables, the meat, and I'm really trying to stay away from processed foods. And doing this cheese making is just another step towards a more natural diet. And that's something I'm really excited about. Now, if you're like me and you're someone who gets bored easily with housework and cooking for everyone, I've been doing this for over 20 years now. And I can tell you that finding things like this that are exciting is something that can really help keep you going and keep things from feeling so mundane and so boring. And, I've gone through periods of learning how to cook Indian food and Greek food and different cuisines from around the world. And I just find that taking on new projects in the kitchen can really help enliven things. And it's also nice to have new flavors. And it just makes life so much more interesting, not only for you as the homemaker, but also for your family because they get to benefit from all of these trials and possibly errors. My curds have set over the time that I was outside gardening, and I went and picked up this digital thermometer, which is really necessary for cheese making because the temperature has to be very precise. I'm making myself a little midday latte, and my machine broke down, so I bought a new espresso pot, which I'm really pleased with. And I'm getting on to the end of this step for this cheese making process. And honestly, I'm not finishing the cheese in this video because this is not a cheese making video, but this step just made me so happy seeing those curds falling into my strainer and separating it from the whey. After watching so many videos, it just made me so happy. If you're new to my channel, I share content every week on homemaking, food from scratch, and life on our farm. And I really do appreciate when you guys leave me comments. It's the highlight of my week, and I really enjoy reading them. So please do leave me a comment, and I will see you in next week's video.